Welcome to Case Note Friday, where every Friday I give you details of a legal case. Now, today's case is a case of mine. It's an old case, but it's a goodie. My name's Fadan. I'm a family law solicitor practicing in Sydney, Australia, and this story is called The Getaway. Now, my client was called Claire. Claire worked in hospitality. She worked as a waitress and sometimes as a receptionist in a hotel. Now, Matthew was a doctor. He was from a whole line of doctors. His father was an orthopaedic surgeon. His father's father was an orthopaedic surgeon. And he was also going to go into orthopaedics, although he thought he might focus on spines rather than the hip, which is what his dad did. So he was in Wollongong for a conference, a medical conference, at the very same hotel that Claire worked. What do you know? She's serving him drinks and canapes. They get talking. They start a romance. Every weekend, Matthew would drive down to the Gong from Sydney, which is about an hour and a half, and they would date and have a good time together. And they were both in their 20s, I should say. He was like 28 and she was like 23. So they had a whirlwind romance. After he was going there every weekend, she never did any of the driving. She stayed in Wollongong. She continued in her job. She still lived with her parents. He had a beautiful waterfront apartment, but he didn't want her to see it in case she was a gold digger and wanted to kind of assess her moral compass before she got to see how rich he was. After about 6 months of dating, he was satisfied that Claire was a good sort. She was an honest person. She was hardworking. She was lovely. She was kind. So he thought she's the right person. And before you know it, he proposes after 6 months of dating. And he says to her, why don't you come and move in with me in my flat in Milsons Point and we can be a family. Now, she's from Wollongong. Her parents are in Wollongong. Her sisters are in Wollongong. Her best friends, all the people she went to school with. Because remember, she's in her early 20s. She's still good friends with all her high school friends. She's got a very, very strong community in Wollongong. Not so much in Sydney. So sacrificing all of that, moving in with the boyfriend in Sydney was a big, big sacrifice for her. But she loved him. And of course, he was a doctor. So she did that. She gave up everything to move in with Matthew. Now, after 6 months, they were living together happily, and Claire falls pregnant. Now, she's pregnant. She's happy. They're going to have a baby. She's very young. He's excited because he's excited to start a family with Claire. Now, their engagement is on. They have set a date for a wedding, but it's not until another year. And she falls pregnant, so she's going to be pregnant on the wedding. And he's like, oh, that's okay. Let's just push back the wedding. So they kept pushing back the wedding date. She's pregnant. It gets to a stage where she's about eight months pregnant. She's feeling bloated. She's feeling unattractive. And she feels like Matthew has lost interest in her. Their ex life has declined. He's really coming home late. He's really not showing much interest in her. She's trying to do the cooking and the cleaning and be the same person that she always was. He's staying out late. He's not coming home some nights. One day she looks in his suit jacket and finds some little plastic bags, which she looks at and discovers that he might be on the, coke. And so she's like, oh, okay, he's doing illegal things. She didn't want to know about it, but she thought he was probably cheating and he's doing drugs. And he just had no interest in her. He wasn't touching her anymore. They weren't intimate. And she's about to have his baby. She was absolutely miserable. Now, she's decided, I'm pregnant. I'm going to have this man's baby, but I don't want to marry him anymore. And you know what? I just want to go home. I just want to go back to Wollongong with my family. And she's like, I'm living with him. I've got no job to go back to. I could go and stay with my parents, but I'm about to have his baby. How is that going to work? And of course, they've set up the cot. They've done everything for the baby's preparations in his beautiful waterfront apartment. So if she left, she'd have to start all over again with all that stuff. And she's like, you know what? I think I need legal advice. One day, she's looking at the local newspaper and she sees an ad. Need help with a family law breakup? Come to my family law seminar. It was me, represented by this bottle of Shiraz. It was my ad in the local paper, which I used to do back then, advertising my seminars. And I would run seminars during the day, once a week, for the mums that were stay-at-home mums, try and get those as clients. And I do them on a Thursday night because I wanted the person to be able to say they were Thursday night shopping, which is a thing in Sydney, but when really they'd go to my seminar. So she went to one of my daytime seminars and she was heavily pregnant. And she listened to all the content, which isn't legal advice, it's just procedural information. After the seminar, she came up to me and told me her story and said, Fadan, I need your help. And I was like, this sounds like a story for me. This sounds like a case that I want to take on. Now, back then I wasn't a partner. I needed approval to be able to take cases where they pay at the end, because she said, I don't have any money. I can't pay you. I can't pay your legal fees. And I'm like, let me look at this case. You're going to marry a doctor. You're pregnant with his baby. He's got this waterfront apartment. You're on a good wicket here. She hadn't been with him for that long, but it doesn't matter, because under the de facto rules in New South Wales, once she had the baby, she would have a claim on top of child support. So I'm like, you know what? I think I can take this case and get paid at the end. I got partner approval and they allowed me to do it. So we developed this plan. She was going to have the baby, go, because she was all set up for the baby, and she was so heavily pregnant that frankly she just couldn't do the move, because I did say you could just go back to live with your parents, but she didn't want to do that. She loved where she lived, right on the water. Did I mention that? She stayed in the apartment, stayed with him, shut up about the fact she wanted to break up, had the baby. And I didn't hear from her for several months. After the newborn, she's 3 months into the relationship. She has a little girl, represented by this lollipop, called Rose. Rose was 3 months old, and she had a really tough time with the baby. He was giving no support. Sometimes he just wouldn't come home. She wouldn't know where he is, and she was convinced he was having an affair and he was with another woman. He had a couple of investment properties, and sometimes he'd say, oh, I had to work back late. Oh, I'm going on a work conference. He just basically abandoned her and the baby. And because they weren't having relations anymore, she just felt really unattractive and really unloved. So she rings me up again and says, Fadan, the time has come. I'm ready to leave this apartment. I want to take baby Rose. What can I do? So we go through the strategy, and she just really wanted to go back home, right? She just wanted to go back to Wollongong. So I said to her, pack the car. Pack everything in that house that you want to take. Get in your car and go, and don't look back. And she's like, can I do that? I'm like, of course you can. You're the mother. You've got a newborn baby. You need help. You need support. She's like, I do need support. So she got in the car, she packed up all her things, Rose's things, and they headed down to Wollongong, an hour and a half. She moves in with her parents, who were very happy to have her and baby Rose. Once Matthew comes home, it was the next day. He didn't even know that she'd gone. He then starts texting her, where are you? What's happening? And she says, I've left you and I'm not coming back. He then gets a lawyer, a very, very good lawyer, who sends her a very nasty letter. You come back to Sydney or we're starting a court case. She sends the letter to me, and I said, just ignore it. They then started a court case and served her with papers, to which she gave to me. Once they started the court case, I then got involved and was on the record and went up against his lawyer. And when I prepared her court documents, we basically did an application to the court for her to stay in Wollongong. I got both of her parents on affidavit. I got her sisters on affidavit, her friends on affidavit, everybody to say the support she had in Wollongong. He was giving her no support, and she had all these beautiful text messages which during the relationship she would text him, I need your help. Where are you? Can you help me? I need help with baby Rose. I'm really tired. I didn't get any sleep last night. Where are you? So all of those messages I put before the court. Our learned judge looked at the case and made an order on an interim basis that she was allowed to stay in Wollongong. And he was outraged. The gong? No child of mine shall stay in the gong. That's what he said, yeah, in the courtroom. But the judge said, you, sir, didn't step up as a parent. You weren't there. She needed you as the mother, and you were nowhere to be seen. You can't now say, after the fact, that you want to step up and be a hands-on dad. You missed your chance. Sorry, sir. Too bad. F off. You lose. You, Claire, can go. You can stay. You can stay in Wollongong, and that's fine. You and baby Rose can stay there. So Matthew did get access. It was supervised time, which he hated. He had to drive to Wollongong to spend time with the baby, who he really didn't know, to build a bond. He had 1 hour a week. We built it to 2 hours a week, to 4 hours. It took a very long time. Eventually, we sort of built it into the orders that he would be getting time on 2 nights a fortnight, and he would have to do both legs of the travel to travel back up to Sydney. But she got to stay in Wollongong with baby Rose. She's still there to this day. From time to time, she texts me to tell me how happy she is. And I just love that for her, because she got out. And here's the lesson. If you want to be a parent, you got to step up from the beginning. You can't say later that you want to come in and be a parent. It just doesn't work like that. So that's the end of the story.